working today.
What are some of the counter opportunities that's working right now to stand out?
So I have a few that are just crushing right now. And
Neil Dingra, who exploded his mortgage business by creating content that gets results on social media. He was in debt at 36 and today has built a multiple seven-figure business.
Small tweaks equal big leaps. So you can make one change that maybe takes you a couple minutes, bro, and all of a sudden you are reaching thousands of more people, maybe tens of thousands, maybe millions of people.
Today, he's going to be breaking down his complete 3C system.
Number one is content. The next C is going to be, this is the one that I think people miss. And then we'll get into conversion. And so here's the big thing on conversion.
So if you want to succeed on social media in 2026, you need to use... Most people think that they're too late to the content game, that AI has made personal branding impossible, that you need to be young, tech savvy, and naturally charismatic to build a following online. Meanwhile, you're watching 22-year-olds go viral while you're stuck cold calling prospects, chasing leads, competing on price, and you know you should be creating content, but every time you get on camera, it feels stiff, it feels awkward, and you're thinking, maybe this just isn't for me. But what if I told you that being cringe and being yourself could actually be your biggest advantage? That there's a 44-year-old American Indian mortgage broker who went from making videos that were so embarrassing that he couldn't watch them back to building a seven-figure personal brand and hosting 1,000-person events in Las Vegas. Going into 2026, everyone is so worried that AI is making content soulless, but that's actually the opportunity. There's never been a bigger opportunity to be yourself, to be real, to be authentic, and for imperfect humans like you and me to stand out. The algorithm is literally hungry for authentic content. Meet Neil Dingra. He's a content marketing expert who exploded his mortgage business by creating content that gets results on social media. He was in debt at 36 and today has built a multiple seven-figure business. He's now the CEO of Forward Academy, and at 44, he's an entrepreneur that went from making cringe content in 2018 to hosting 1,000-plus person events, collaborating with industry leaders like Gary Vaynerchuk, Cody Sanchez, and more. And if Neil can do it in one of the most traditional, buttoned-up industries in America, mortgage banking, then anybody can do it, especially if you're a service provider, you're a business owner, or you're a content creator that wants to get in the game and start. And today, he's going to be breaking down his complete 3C system, the exact framework that took him from cringe to seven figures, and some of the new opportunities and challenges that creators are facing right now so you can get ahead in social media and personal branding. Let's dive in. Hey, Neil, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sean. This is awesome.
So I want to get right into, we're going to talk about your 3C formula. We'll talk about your expertise and how to, really stand out with personal branding, content. But let's first talk about some of the challenges right now, because the landscape of social media and online business is changing. What are the biggest challenges? You help a lot of service providers, business owners, real estate, but entrepreneurs overall.
Yeah.
A lot of content creators come to your events. How has the landscape changed, and what are the challenges you see right now?
So the biggest challenge right now I see is people say it's saturated. There's never been this many people posting every day on social. The amount of content, it's like a fire hose coming out. And then with AI, with things like trial reels, like there's just this massive volume of content that's coming up every day, and you've never had this much competition. So how do you stand out in that environment? That's where people are kind of honestly struggling. And also, I've just noticed that like what used to work a year or two ago isn't necessarily working today. So for example, with talking head videos on social, it's like people will say that they're not getting any reach, they blame the algorithm. Well, honestly, it's just the viewers, the viewers' feelings, like their preferences have changed, right? And so we're seeing a move towards like stronger information, presented better, packaged better, and then also like B-roll and text and things like this, and trending audio. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to really level up. And if you're using the playbook from a couple years ago, you're probably struggling.
So a lot of noise, everybody's creating content,
Yes.
AI, soulless content, shortened attention spans, or like the quality of content, which might not just be production value, but holding interest.
Correct.
Stuff happening. So it might just be assembled on your phone, but the tactics of B-roll, text, transitions, maybe switch up your environment, not just plain talking head. And then even platform fatigued, audience is overwhelmed by choices. So then what are some of the counter opportunities that's working right now to stand out?
So I have a few that are just crushing right now, and I think that this will depend on what your preferences are and how you create content. But one of the things that I think is always in style, it's been on style on YouTube forever, is like talking head videos with good information. But the bar for information is higher now. So it's not just like 3 tips to do X. Like that doesn't perform as well on social anymore. But maybe you have a specific story. Like here's how I did this in this time frame. And so anytime you can go from general to specific, it's going to perform better because then the audience feels this is real. It's not just some AI produced video or generic. Like we're seeing people that are using their avatar to create their talking head videos. And it's super generic. And so like, what are the stories only you could tell? Like your experiences are actually what are going to make this stand out. So that'll be the first thing.
Let's give this formula to the community, and that is go from how to how I.
Correct.
And finish the sentence of how I. Because as soon as you say how I made an extra $1,000 trying this strategy, or how I lost 22 pounds in 45 days by doing, and what also is now you just got to tell your story, and it also flips from kind of preaching, which how to is fine, how to get started, but you're saying your methodology, so just so that listeners can swipe that, like you use that as the headline and the opening line of one of your next pieces of content. Is how it does.
The other one that works really well right now for Talking Head is going to be meeting the viewer where they're at, so calling out the problem. And if you've struggled with something and overcame it, those are great hooks. So for example, somebody might have done a few years ago, 3 ways to buy a home in today's market. Maybe your video would be like, you know what, if you're feeling overwhelmed with today's real estate market, man, I was right there with you. I didn't know where to go or where to turn until I figured out this, until I found this tool, until I found this system. And then now it's like, man, he was just like me. He struggled. I think a lot of people don't like to be vulnerable or give their struggle, but that's honestly where I've seen the biggest growth is where, hey, I struggled, I figured this out, I put together this system, and now I'm here. People want to follow that because it's real.
Okay, so call out a pain point. I think about how we do that too. This works a lot. We help people grow on YouTube, grow their YouTube channel, and when we call out, if your videos are getting under 500 views, then watch this. And it's calling out a specific moment in the journey. So that would also be a headline individuals could steal for a long form YouTube video or a short term, vertical YouTube short or Instagram reel. So what is that specific pain point?
Yeah, and I think like, there's somebody, even I was teaching this one time and they're like, that's like the 8 Mile strategy, call it the problem that is going to be on the viewer's mind. And so, like interest rates are high. Maybe inventory's down, or maybe it's, every market's different, but call out those problems in my industry. And then what is it for you? Like, think about like, and you can ask GPT for this.
Yeah.
Like, what are the pain points right now? What's your target audience? Who are you speaking to? But then what are their pain points? What's going on in their head? If you can use, Pat Flynn actually told me this recently. He's like, if you can even use their language in that opening hook, it's going to bring them even more. He sends out an email to his entire database and asks them what they're struggling with. Now, not everyone's going to reply, but when they reply, he uses that exact verbiage in the videos.
That's interesting. And when 8 Mile strategy, if you basically share your own vulnerability, you might look back and say, okay, what was the time when you made a really stupid mistake? How I lost $5,000 because of the stupid real estate thing I did, or how I lost the whole house, or I botched the contract, or messed that up, or how I hurt my relationship, how I almost got divorced, or how I almost whatever because of calling out a mistake you made. And you'd also be calling your own story to the pain point. The person's like, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
How I almost killed my business, or how I lost my best employee, and so you leading with pain in your failures.
Correct. And then I think like another strategy people use is chopping up long form. Like for example, this is a podcast, we could chop up clips, post it on social.
Yeah.
Those clips don't necessarily perform like they used to. And the biggest problem I see, Sean, is people have a strong statement or the boldest part of the piece of content in the middle of the piece.
Yes.
So we're setting up the context. We got maybe even a traditional hook, then we get to the punchline. Nobody's there because they left in the first few seconds. So what I found great success in, and I'm seeing this blow up everywhere, is the best creators are taking the strongest statement, putting it up front, even if it didn't come that way in our conversation.
Yep.
So when you said 8 Mile strategy is crushing, we would move that up front, then give the context, not the other way around.
Yeah, when people are cutting clips in like Opus Clip, which is an AI tool, right? Yeah, it's going to go linear.
Correct.
So it allows you to rearrange it, but most don't. So they just are starting wherever Opus Clip tells you to start, or trying to find the best place as opposed to moving it or repeating it too, right? So you could repeat that And so,
I'll give you like an example. I was just teaching a workshop, and I said, man, a lot of people say YouTube is saturated, podcast is saturated. But what I found is nothing is saturated because most people suck at what they do. And so what I found is like, yeah, it's saturated for 95% of people who are not doing this. And then I went into my whole model teaching. But like that line, that's a bar. Nothing is saturated because most people suck at what they do. So
let me punch it up.
We posted.
Nothing is saturated because most people suck.
Yeah, there you go. And cut the last part.
Cut the last part.
I should do that again. So we posted the first time where I said the punchline a few lines in.
Yeah.
Okay, moved the punchline up front. It crushed 4x the views right away. Same video. Now I could take what you just said, cut that end off, make it even harder hitting.
Yeah.
It might do 10x the views.
Yeah, slap that really strong hook. That's interesting.
If there's a strong statement, we got to put it up front.
Yeah, because I agree with that. Everyone's saying they think that YouTube is too saturated, but competition is highest for low effort content, and competition is highest for lazy content. Most are not willing to go to the level of detail and rigor that we're talking about, but that ultimately is the opportunity.
Yes, that's intention. And so there's a guy taught this at our event, which we'll talk about later, but he said it's the game of inches. Like that tweak took me just maybe a couple minutes to move that in Final Cut.
Yeah.
But like that's why the video goes viral. If you're gonna do that, you win. So I think the thing that's really cool about content today is small tweaks equal big leaps. This is a hook right now, right? But like that is the best part, because you can make one change that maybe takes you a couple minutes, bro, and all of a sudden you are reaching thousands of more people, maybe tens of thousands, maybe millions of people.
So I want to talk about your 3C formula in a bit, but let's talk a little bit about your story, because you know, a lot of people, even now, you've built this brand. You're standing on stage with Gary Vaynerchuk, Cody Sanchez. You probably have the most innovative, industry redefining, momentum event that I've seen, in especially mortgage, went to real estate, now it's more entrepreneurship, but forward, that happens in Las Vegas annually, it's legendary, it's epic, it's so sick. And then your content has gotten cleaner, crispier, you've become a good communicator, you've sharpened all these details. But what's incredible about your story is just a few years ago, your content was embarrassing, cringe, boring, awful, the worst.
Dang, bro.
It's kind of so cool to think, because I think what people do, John Acuff says, never compare your beginning to somebody else's middle.
Yeah.
And they even start thinking, well, you know, whoever it is, they compare themselves to a big YouTuber, somebody that's getting views on TikTok or Instagram, and they're at the start. So take us back, like, what was going through your head when you first hit record? When did you first hit record, and why? Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers and more. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com.
So I hit record 2019 in there, and it was cringe. Like, you get the Facebook memories, you know, on your phone. You're like, you can't even watch the video. How is anyone else going to watch it? You know, and those even worked at the time, but I didn't know how cringe it was, you know. And I think that's the thing. You don't get much reach anyways because it's a terrible video, but most people are just scared to do the thing, so they don't put it out there. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to try. I'm going to go for it anyway. And it's because I noticed the trend in my industry was shifting, and I was maybe a little bit early, but I was watching guys like Gary Vee saying, hey, this is a big, massive opportunity for people in stale industries. So anytime you could do something new or innovative in a stale business, you're going to crush. Like Cody Sanchez brought this up at our event. She said, hey, she's taking window washing companies, and then she started one called Pinks, and all the guys wear bright pink shirts and the trucks are pink, and they brought something fresh and new to a stale industry. It's crushing. So I was thinking mortgage, real estate, boring. Nobody's really doing content. Let me be the nerd, the information guy who brings the tips and the tricks to the people. Problem was, bro, is that I couldn't communicate properly on camera, didn't have the confidence. And so at a certain point, it just becomes about reps.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just started doing it, cringe at first, and just got better over time. And then along the way, figured out my voice, got the confidence down, started hosting smaller events, bigger events. And I love using webinars and events for conversion. So I've just found that, this is a great strategy for anybody out there. Is like you take online to offline. So my social could be top of the funnel for awareness, but then there needs to be some sort of conversion event. And an event could be like you take them to a page offline, you get them onto your email list. I get them into a room, either on Zoom or in person, and that's where I found the magic happens.
Yeah.
You got to get them out of off the platform.
Yeah, what's interesting is I think where on the one hand people think social media is saturated, on the other hand, I think for stale industries, it's just getting started.
Correct.
National Association of Realtors said that only 9% of agents are doing listing videos. Only 9%.
That's wild.
So you would think, as we are going into 2026, that, oh man, everybody in real estate has got to be creating content, posting content, putting it out there. No, only 1 in 10. And of course you see some creative, funny, listing video in your Instagram feed, and you compare yourself to them, and it, kind of goes viral. But like, so many people are just sitting on the sidelines, and they need to get in the game. And what I love that you said was, you posted your first videos, and they were cringe, but they even worked.
Yes.
What do you mean?
So even bad content will perform because the bar is so low. And so you think about quality, not quantity, in terms of the quality of the viewer. So I'm in a high margin business. Each client has a big impact on my bottom line. I'm not selling t-shirts.
Yeah.
So for example, if I get 80 views on a video, but one of the people in there is like, hey man, loved your video on this, would love to have a conversation. That's viral for me.
Yes.
80 is viral if you get a client from it, and the client is worth thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So I saw an impact to my business from 2018 to 2019, and I was not passionate about content, but when I saw the results, I became passionate about it. You know what I mean? Like, I think people wait to get motivated and then start. That doesn't work. You need to start, and then you'll find the motivation in some feedback. So once you start getting some momentum, and it's just hints. Somebody will say, hey bro, love the video. Mm-hmm. Like, you like my video, bro? That's crazy. Makes you feel good. Then that would be the motivation to do the next one and the next one.
Did you feel embarrassed at all?
For sure. Many times I didn't want to hit post, especially when it came to sharing more personal stuff. But I found that is the one way to stand out, is like, how do you go from this is just great information Neil provides to I want to work with Neil. I want to partner with him. I want to fly from Montreal, Canada to Las Vegas in July when it's 110 degrees outside to go meet Neil. How are you going to get that person to do that? Well, you have to share more than just the 3 tips. They have to build a connection with you. So I love doing content, but how are you connecting with the audience?
I want to come back to that, because even that goes beyond just sharing information, but personal brand, building a connection. I want to put a pin in that, because did you get pushback? Have you got haters or pushback along the way?
I think in the beginning you don't get much hate. I think there was people in my industry who would be like, yo, who do you think you are? Right? Like, who do you think you are posting these videos? Like, were you trying to be a celebrity, bro? And I would just say most of the time, probably all the time, it's how they feel about themselves. They actually wish they were doing the thing you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like the guy in the gym who would make fun of people trying to get fit. That dude's not ripped.
Yeah.
It's always somebody beneath, like the hate doesn't come from above.
Sure.
Anybody who's successful is like always encouraged me. They're like, bro, great job, man. Good to see you out there. Here's a tweak I would make. They give you the feedback. And so I just kind of realized that the hate is usually just a reflection of them, and just ignore it.
So you were talking about personal brand. You said it was a little bit tough, especially when I started sharing personal information. What is your opinion of we're getting online, we're planting our flag in a niche or an expertise, especially as business owners or service providers, even content creators, it's nice to have a niche, and you have maybe the tips you're sharing, but then at what point, what percentage are you encouraging people to weave in different things? And I think you have 5 F's.
Yeah.
What are the things you're weaving in to build a personal brand?
I would go 80-20,
Yeah.
70-30 if possible. So there's got to be contrast. So for example, the more contrast, the better with the personal brand. So here's a guy who does mortgage. All right, real stale. I'm also Indian. Cool, that's one piece of contrast. I also don't dress like the people in my industry. That's another piece of contrast. I also like music and share some of those things. I also have, so all these little things give it this whole contrast feel. It's like, think about some of the biggest brands. Hormozy.
Yep.
This guy is a genius, but he also looks like just a gym bro. He's ripped. He's in a wife beater every day. That's huge contrast. So those are the brands that are going to stand out. So I think people are normally sitting on the thing that would give them the most amount of connection because they're just worried about what people will think or say. So I think I would go 70-20 or 70-30, 80-20. And then for personal content, I would share food. These are the 5 F's: food, faith, family, fitness, fashion.
Okay.
Now you could swap one of the F's out for whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
I mean, I just spoke at an event and one dude's like, I'm a degenerate gambler. I'd probably leave that one out. But like, you know, what are you into? There's a guy in our group, he's into hiking in Denver. He does the tips on the hike. The algorithm is so good that it's going to show it to people who are outdoorsy.
Yeah.
There's people who are the biggest Dallas Cowboys fans. Like, dude, just wearing the hat or the jersey in some of your content, someone's going to give you a little bit more attention because they have an affinity with you. Like, you share the same interests. So I just would think about not only doing actually intentional personal content, but just weaving in some of your interest into the business content.
And so what are the 5 F's again?
Food, faith, family, fitness, fashion.
And so it's, and that's you're going to put that in the 20% or the 30%, and you're going to do a post. Maybe it's subtle. You're wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey, and you're talking about mortgage, but maybe you actually do a post about your faith.
Yes.
Just totally feels like a total right hook, totally separate from a real estate post.
Yeah, and what's crazy, bro, is there's people who will connect with you, and they'll come up to you, and you probably had this experience, or me, and I see it all the time, where someone will tell me something personal.
Yes.
That they remember from social. They rarely come up to me and say, hey, I loved your video on buying that rental property.
Yes.
They're like, here's some contraband. You know,
Bro, it happens all the time.
Yes.
Those touch points. Oh, you're also a fan of the Wu-Tang? Oh, you also go to a Banya, which is a European steam bath, or you also love Jesus. You also like, that is, they'll be like, hey, your tips are good, but bro, like, you know.
Or I know you've been on a fitness journey. How many people have connected with you because of your fitness?
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because if you think about on the last podcast, which I'll link in the show notes, your last podcast is still fire. You dropped all kinds of tactics. You were talking about broad appeal.
Yes.
And I think that's a missing piece of 99% of people listening to this, is they're not tapping into broad appeal. I think the mistake they make is they think that if they go broad appeal, they don't have a niche anymore. But you still have a niche, you still have a niche, because if they click through to your Instagram bio or they go to your website, they see what it is you offer and what you do. And the exposure to that can then lead them into your world. But random stuff, like the fact you're on these sub verticals, like the other thing I've been doing is carnivore. You tap into the carnivore algorithm, it's a whole thing, right? You start getting suggested, people talking about it. Of course, fitness. I'm in my 40s. Men's health, other dudes in their 40s, or like, you know.
That is the most broad appeal ever right now.
Yeah.
Health is like number one.
Yeah. And so when you say, it might, well, I'm not a food creator, but okay, if you tap into content related to that, and Hormozy isn't, but his most viewed YouTube short, last time I checked, was about Chipotle double protein.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And he stopped doing those. He told me in a podcast, he said, hey, we don't see as many opt-ins from those. I would argue that it fits his overall strategy. And he's not seeing the direct benefit, but indirectly, people are more connected to him. They would give him more of their attention because of the Chipotle video.
It's an interesting point you make. You're maybe not correlating that to opt-ins, but the thing you could correlate it to is the brand and the connection.
Correct.
Just like, bro, I related to that. It reminded me of my days of like not having a lot of cash, trying to get protein. It reminded me, it's just connection, more depth. The affinity people have built for somebody like a Gary Vee is around all those other touch points.
Yeah.
Card collecting, sports.
One thing I noticed about collaborating with Gary over the years is, you know, all followers are not equal. You know, I've done collaborations. I've had benefit of doing these events with all these big influencers, millions of followers and subscribers. And you would think, oh, this guy has similar number of followers or subscribers to Gary. But then when we run ads together, less opt-ins. When we were doing the thing, less people are interested. There's a less of a line to get the person to meet the person. Versus Gary has like this deep connection.
Level of super fan.
Correct. And they're like, I've never seen an ad perform better than an image of me and Gary for an opt-in.
There you go.
So what does that tell me? Like, some people's brands are stronger than others.
Much stronger.
And because of the fact that we know things about Gary, I would argue the reason why Gary's brand is important is because we know he wants to buy the New York Jets. We know he loves freaking trash swap meets and stuff.
Yeah.
We know, like, he, talks about his family and this and that, and he does all these things, and we have a connection with him because of it. And if he chose not to share those and just the business tips, maybe it wouldn't be there.
Wow. So speaking about personal brand in depth, you're on this anti-AI strategy thing.
Yeah.
Because everyone's overhyping AI. Now, AI is powerful. It can help you write some scripts. It can help you write some hooks. AI video editing's cool. AI avatars, whatever. But everyone's worried about AI making content feel soulless, true, generic.
Yep.
But when you're talking about like anti-AI strategy, one of your biggest things, just going a little bit deeper on this, is the power of authenticity, of human content, and why vulnerability beats polish in 2026. Expand on this for listeners that might be looking at AI a little bit worried.
Yeah, so I think what you want to do is, use AI to amplify the message, clean it up, organize your thoughts. That's how I do it. But I'm not using it to replace me. You know what I mean? So in the content, for example, one piece of content that's crushing social right now is if you can give your take on the news. So for example, I've had some of my top performing videos on short form where I will take a headline from DC or something that's affecting my people, my audience, the industry, and I will put that screenshot of the article. And the tip for this, the super tactical tip, is to put the image of the headline in the first 3 seconds of the video and say, guys, did you see this? Did you hear about this? And then I will repeat the thing, but then I'm adding in my unique POV, point of view. You need to have a point of view. Like, you can't just be the news guy. Otherwise, the only way you win is if you're first. But like, I don't have to be first. There could be a bunch of news that's our hard-hitting, breaking news vibe, but then I can just give my point of view. So I could say, you know what, I don't really think that Trump's strategy on this is going to play out, but let me know what you guys think, or here's why I don't like this, here's why I do like it, based on my experience. Now, I think people are scared to give their opinion because they're going to piss somebody off. So if you want to stay away from politics, totally fine, I understand that. But I've found if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing, and it just gets lost in this void of soulless content.
Yeah.
So I would rather lose a few followers and give my opinion, not being rude, but give my opinions on X than just to sit quiet.
You know what's funny is some of these things I think are going to be the only way to break through going forward is a willingness to jump right in the middle of what you're saying, right in the middle of issues. A willingness knowing that there's going to be polarizing feelings on both sides. And especially meta platforms, Instagram and Facebook, have already said that conversation is why posts will spread.
Yeah.
And if things are being shared. And so if something is vanilla and nobody has anything to say, then it just will die. But if somebody goes polarizing each way and they're debating, I think it's maybe removing yourself. In a way, you're almost like a fire starter. You're kind of, you can still present the information where you present both sides even. Some people are saying this, some people are saying this, and people will start fighting in your comments.
Yes.
Not that you're trying to pick a fight, but that debate is stepping into something that actually matters. It's kind of funny. My friend, Owen Hemsath, just did a post. He goes, I'm not kidding. Anybody on Facebook, he goes, is anybody experimenting with nicotine right now? And it was funny because I just started using nicotine, like 4 milligrams a day max, like like it was super weird too. The stigma, of course, like even as a person of faith, like I'm like, am I buying Nicorette and like?
Is it like a stimulant?
It's a stimulant, and it's popular in biohacking circles.
Yeah.
But what's actually so funny is I'm like, dude, that post is gonna freaking pop because people were like, maybe they were addicted to cigarettes. I'm not gonna touch that thing. It's the fact it's in the biohacking thing is a weird niche. People have had all kinds of issues. You know what I mean? Like it actually was and his willingness to put that out there. And then interestingly enough, I'm like jumping in the comments. I've got stuff to say. I'm like, matter of fact, debates happening, things are going back and forth. That post and what an a nicotine.
Yeah. And so, like, what's the thing you're scared to say out loud?
Which I'm actually kind of scared to say that because like half my audience is judging me right now. Like, wait a minute, Sean's doing nicotine.
Yeah.
Actually, stop. It really is addictive in the sense that I had like a headache for 5 days.
Well, I've seen Hormozy popping those Nicorettes.
Yeah.
During an interview, he'll keep popping them.
Yep. I went kind of on the biohacking thing, and again, max 4 milligrams a day. Relax. Think Media podcast.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff's interesting. There'll probably be a spike even in this moment. Like, what did he just say?
Yes.
Sean started smoking.
And that's
He's
where
vaping now.
Yeah, it's like what is that thing that you'd be scared to say? What's your opinion on it? And now, if it's going to be super polarizing and you'll lose half your clientele, maybe consider how you say it. A lot of times it's how you say it.
Yeah.
It's just being respectful. So I've had things where, honestly, the people who I respect the most when it comes to political things are people who will disagree with their own political party.
Yep.
Right. So. What used to work a year or two ago.